Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hello everyone, this is Mr. Ahmed Warshan, and in this video, inshallah, I will be solving all of the ideas that came in the previous قدرات test that was held on 8th of November 2025. So I divided, or I categorized these ideas into categories, and the first category that we are starting with is the algebraic expressions and equations. Bismillah. So for this one, here we need to evaluate what's inside first. That would make the problem easier. So 27 divided by 54. You can chip it down by dividing by 9 up and down and then dividing by 3. But if you're good with division, you should know that this is actually 1 over 2. So this is 1 over 2. X power 3 divided by x power 7. In division, we subtract the powers. So that's x to the power of 3 minus 7, which is negative 4. Y to the power 2 minus 5, which is negative 3. And let's not forget that we have a power of negative 3 outside here. Now we distribute. So this will be equal 1 to the power of negative 3 over 2 to the power of negative 3. X to the power negative 3 times negative 4, which is 12. Y to the power of negative 3 times negative 3, which is 9. If we have a negative power, it changes its place. So this will be equal 2 to the power of 3 over 1 to the power of 3. X to the power of 12, Y to the power of 9. 2 to the power of 3 is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8, over 1 to the power of 3, which is 1. 8 divided by 1 is 8, so that's 8 x to the power of 12, y to the power of 9, which is D. Next question. In this question, we have a root in the denominator, so we need to cancel it. How can we do that? Yes, by multiplying by the conjugate. So x minus y over the square root of x minus square root of y. We're going to multiply by the conjugate of that. So that would be square root of x plus square root of y, because the conjugate is the same as the denominator, but changing the middle sign. So that's square root of x plus square root of y. On the numerator up, we're not going to do anything. Just put them in parentheses. X minus y times square root of x plus square root of y. Over down, we can apply a shortcut because these are difference of two squares. So you can just multiply first times first and last times last. Square root of x times square root of x, square root of anything times the square root of the same thing, square root cancels. So that's just going to be x. Negative square root of y times positive square root of y, negative times positive is negative. Square root of y times square root of y is just y. And here we find out that this bracket is the same as this. So what are we left with? We are just left with square root of x plus square root of y, which is a. Okay, in this problem, if p equals 1 over 3 times x plus y times z, then x equals. So let's write it down. P equals 1 over 3 times x plus y z. Okay, what we can do here is we can cancel this 1 over 3 first by multiplying by 3. But so we're gonna have to multiply both sides. This 3 will cancel with this 3, so we will be left with 3p equals, we can distribute this z. The 1 khalas, 1 times anything is the same thing. So x times z is xz, y times z is yz. He's asking for x, so I need to make x alone. So let's send this to the other side. So this becomes 3p minus yz equals xz. X is still not alone, we need to get rid of this z, so divide by z, divide by z. So we are left with x equals 3p minus yz over z, which is C. Okay, this is an exponential equation, so I need to make the power of the number with the exponent alone. Okay, let's move this -20 to the other side. So our equation will be 5 times 8 to the power of 3x minus 1 is equal to +20. We can now divide by 5, divide by 5. So we will have 8 to the power of 3x minus 1 equals 20 over 5, which is 4. Okay, the 8 and the 4, to solve any exponential equation, you need your bases to be the same. So that's 8 and 4, they need to be the same number. So 8 is clearly 2 to the power of 3. So 2 to the power of 3, and then write the power normally. 3x minus 1 equals 4 is clearly 2 to the power of 2. Now, since we have the same base, cancel the bases and then distribute 3 times x, which is 3, which is 9x. 3 times -1, that's -3, and that's supposed to be equal to this 2. Move the -3 to the other side and make it +3. So 9x is equal to 5. And then divide by 9, divide by 9. We are left with x equals 5 over 9, which is question C, or option C. Okay, this one is a little bit tricky. If f of x equals x cubed plus 3x squared plus 3x plus 1, then f of x plus 1 equals. So we know in this type of problems, we usually replace x with whatever is in the bracket. But if you keep doing that, the answer will be a polynomial. It will not look like this. So we need to be smart about this. If we look at the answers, they all have a bracket to the power of 3. The last time we took bracket to the power of 3, it was called the perfect cube. What was the perfect cube? It was a plus b power 3 equals a cubed plus 3a squared b plus 3ab squared plus b cubed. Okay, we notice some similarities between this and this. What are the similarities? Let's compare the first term by the first term. A power 3 and x power 3. So from here, we can deduce that a is the same as x. So a is x. Okay, what about the next one? 3 and 3. So 3 is the same, and we know a power 2 is x power 2. So what about b? Where is b? b is a hidden number, so b is actually 1. Because 1 times 3 is 3. B is hidden because it's just 1. So now we know that b is 1. What did we use of this? This can be rewritten as this. So f of x will be equal, instead of a plus b, it's going to be x plus 1 cubed. Now we can find this f of x plus 1. So we're going to replace every x with x plus 1. So that's going to be x plus 1, and then plus another 1 to the power of 3, which is equal to x plus 2 to the power of 3. Okay, the next part is inequalities and absolute values. We need to evaluate this one. We have an absolute value, so we need to use definition to know if this is x minus 1 or negative x minus 1. So the absolute value, let's redefine the absolute value. It was either equal to x minus 1 or negative x minus 1. When does this happen? Remember, we take the opposite sign of this number, or just take whatever is inside the absolute value and make it equal to 0. So this will be when x is greater than or equal to 1, with this when x is less than 1. But notice that we cannot put 1 in the denominator. So this cannot be equal to 1. So just greater than. Which of them matches the condition he's putting for us? Yeah, x less than 1, it's this one. So it means this is the value that he wants. So we just put it. So this will be equal to negative x minus 1 over x minus 1. X minus 1 will cancel with x minus 1. We will just be left with the negative, and that negative طبعا it means negative 1. Okay, for this one, this is a normal absolute value equation. So we can just split. So this will be x squared plus 2 is equal to 1. X squared plus 2 is equal to negative 1. Move the positive 2 to the other side to be a negative 2. So x squared equal 1 minus 2, which is negative 1. We're supposed to square root here, but we can't square root here because you can't square root a negative number. So the answer here is 5. The other one, the positive 2 will go to the other side as negative 2. So that's x squared equals negative 3. And again, you cannot square root negative 3 because it's a negative number. So it's 5 on both sides. This question is exactly the same. Pi represents the ratio of the circumference of a circle to its radius. If the radius, the previous part, that is just the definition of pi. If the radius r satisfies this equation, what is the value of r? Okay, so we need the absolute value alone. So absolute value of 4r plus 1. And send this positive 1 to the other side, so that's negative 1. طبعا the absolute value can never be equal to negative, so that's no solution. Okay, if it was equal to positive, we would just do like the previous problem, but be careful. R, the radius, it's a length. It should only be positive. So here, for example, he's giving r equal negative 1, negative 1 over 4, negative 1 over 2. Without even looking at the answers, I can just choose no solution. Because r, it's a length, it's the radius of the circle, can never be negative. Okay, the solution set of this inequality, طبعا this is the AND case, so we're gonna write it exactly the same. And we just repeat the last part here with negative. So first of all, this negative 6, it will go to the other side as plus 6. So here it's gonna be 4 less than 2x less than 8. Now we can divide by 2. So 2 is less than x is less than 4, which is clearly the interval 2 to 4. So it's C. The next category is function, domain, and graph. Okay, for the domain, here we have 3 different functions. The first one is this one. Let's call it f. The second one is just the square root. Let's call it g. And the third one is the entire denominator. Let's call it h. Okay, so first we have domain of g. We need what's under the root to be greater than or equal to 0. 3x squared plus 1 greater than or equal to 0. طبعا this can't be factored. That means in this part is always greater than or equal to 0. And in this case, the domain is R. Okay, we're done with this part. طيب let's do G. So domain of G is just the square root underneath, so it's gonna be x minus 1 greater than or 0. Why بس greater than? You're gonna tell me, mister, because it's in the denominator, it cannot be equal to 0. بس in here, the root isn't the entire denominator. The root itself can be equal to 0 عادي, and we would have 3 missing. So, if the root is not the entire denominator عادي, you can put equal. Move this to the other side as plus 1, and this cancels. So we end up with x greater than or equal 0 plus 1, which is 1. If we want to graph it, will be 1, closed point, and going to the right. The last one is h. H is the entire denominator, and we know that the denominator cannot be equal to 0. X minus 1 plus 3 cannot be equal to 0. Move the 3 to the other side, so square root of x minus 1 cannot be equal to negative 3. Now you're gonna tell me, mister, we apply power 2 to both sides. No. He's telling you the square root isn't equal to negative 3. Tamma, we know. The square root is a positive value. It can never be equal to negative. But this is always positive. Can never be equal to a negative value. In this case, the domain for this one is also R. So the only domain that we have here is this part, which we can clearly tell it's hard bracket 1 until infinity. Moving forward, okay, the domain of this function, we can use a nice trick because like this, it looks a little bit complicated. So we can split the root over the numerator alone and the denominator alone. So this is gonna be equal square root 2x squared plus 2x plus 2 over square root of x minus 1. So this is a function, let's call it f. This is another function, let's call it g. Okay, regarding f. So we have a square root, so we take what's inside the root and make it greater than or equal to 0. If we try to factor this one, we can try to take 2 as a common factor. It's gonna be x squared plus x plus 1. If you try to factor this one, it can't be factored. So in this case, all of this is always greater than or equal to 0. So in this case, the domain for this function is R. Okay, the red one, this time it's in the denominator entirely, so x minus 1 just greater than 0. Move the negative 1 to the other side, so it would just be x is greater than 1. But this time it doesn't have the equal, so it's gonna be like this and going to the right, and the interval, it's gonna be from 1 until infinity. Moving forward. Okay, question 12, 13, and 14 are exactly the same, so I will just solve 14. If y equals f of x is a quadratic function that passes through the points 0 and 1, 1 and 3, and 2 and 9, what is f of x? Just use trial and error. Whenever he's giving you some points, just evaluate the functions at these points. How so? طبعا each point is x and y, x and y, x and y. So substitute x and see if it will give you y or not. How so? Let's try a, for example. In a, we're gonna replace each x with 0 and see if it will give 1 or not. So let's replace each x with 0. So that's gonna be 0 squared plus 2 times 0. 0, this is 0, this is 0, so this is equal to 0. It was supposed to be equal to 1. For this one, no, you don't have to continue testing the other 2 points. If 1 point failed, خلاص. This was which point that we tried? Let's put this to the right. This was the first point, اللي هي 0 and 1. Okay, let's now try B. Let's test the 0 and 1. This time we're removing the x and putting a 0. So it's gonna be 2 times 0 squared plus 1. All of this is 0. So this is equal to 1. وفعلا y هنا ب1. So this one is correct, but you have to test the other points as well. Let's test the second point, 1 and 3. Let's remove the x and put 1. 2 times 1 power 2 plus 1. This is 2 plus 1, which is 3. Yes, it is 3. Let's test the final point, 219. 2 times 2 power 2 plus 1. 2 power 2 is 4 times 2, that's 8, plus 1, that's 9. And the other number is 9, so yes. So the answer is B. These two problems, 13 and 12, they are the same. I will let you give them a try. Okay, now some functions. If f of x equals ax plus b, where a is greater than 0, and f of x equals 4x plus 3. طب we need to look at this part. f of x. f of x, it means you're putting f of x inside itself. يعني you're putting all of this inside the x. So let's find that first. F of x is a, and instead of x, I'm putting all of this inside. So that's ax plus b, I put that inside of the x, and then plus b. Distribute, so a times ax is a squared x plus ab plus b. But he told me that f of x is actually equal to 4x plus 3. So we can actually make this equal to 4x plus 3. Okay, now we can compare coefficients. What do we mean by that? Here, the number next to x, it should be equal to the number next to x here. A squared is equal to 4. So we can take that and solve it. A squared is equal to 4, square root. So a is equal, this is supposed to be positive negative 2. But see here he said a is equal, oh sorry, a is greater than 0. So we are only taking the positive answer. Okay, now that we have a, also the numbers without x equal to the number without x. So ab plus b is equal to 3. But we just found a is 2. So 2b plus b equal to 3. 2b plus 1b is 3b equal to 3. Divide by 3, divide by 3, b is 1. And he was actually looking for b, so b is 1. Okay, if f of x equals x minus 2 and g of x equals x squared minus 6, then the values of x such that f of g of x is equal to f of x. Okay, so he wants g inside of f, and we make it equal to f. So g inside of f, so that's going to be, instead of x, that's going to be x squared minus 6, and then minus 2. Equal to f of x, equal to the normal f of x اللي هي x minus 2. Okay, so send this to the other side, send this to the other side. So we're going to have x squared minus x minus 6 minus 2 plus 2 equal to 0. Minus 2 will cancel with positive 2. So x squared minus x minus 6 equal to 0. This is a quadratic equation. We need to solve it. So let's factor the 6. 6 is 1 times 6, 2 times 3. The bigger number is negative, the other number opposite. So this is negative 5, this is negative 1. So clearly we want the middle one that gives us negative 1. So x plus 2, x minus 3 equal to 0. Switch their signs to be fast. This is x equal negative 2, x is equal to 3, negative 2 and 3 is this one. Okay, for this equation, f of x minus 2 equals x squared minus 9. He wants f of x. Okay, so we have f of x minus 2 equals x squared plus 9. I want to make this f of x somehow. So I need to put a value of x that would somehow cancel this negative 2. Easy. Plus 2. So why is that? To cancel the negative 2. So I can have the f of x that he wants. So I'm gonna replace this x with x plus 2. طبعا not just this x. You're gonna replace one x, it will be all x's. So f of x plus 2 and then minus 2 equals, we have to replace this one as well, x plus 2 squared minus 9. Why is this? Because positive 2 will cancel with negative 2. So f of x equals this bracket squared, so it's repeated twice, minus 9. First, second, first, second. So x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4 minus 9, join like terms, x squared, 2x plus 2x is 4x, 4 minus 9 is negative 5. We need to factor the 5. 5 is just 1 times 5. The bigger number is positive. Because the first sign is positive, the smaller number will be the opposite because the second sign is negative. That's equal to 4, and yeah, it is correct. So this is actually x minus 1 times x plus 5, which is A. Okay, now quadratics and polynomials. Okay, for this question, if the equation x squared plus 2x plus 2 plus 2k plus 2 times x plus 5k minus 1 equal to 0 has no real solution. Okay, so we know if a problem has no real solution, it means the discriminant is less than or equal to 0. So we know that b squared minus 4ac not equal, is less than 0. Okay, where is a, where is b, and where is c? A is just the number next to x squared, which is just a. This is b, and all of this is c. Okay, this will be a bit long, but just concentrate. So b squared, it's gonna be 2k plus 2 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1 times c, which is 5k minus 1. This is supposed to be less than 0. Okay, bracket power 2, and the bracket is repeated twice, so 2k plus 2 times 2k plus 2. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times 5, that's going to be negative 20k. Negative 4 times negative 1, that's positive 4, less than 0. Now we distribute these. 2k times 2k, that's 4k squared. 2k times 2, that's 4k. 2 times 2k, that's another 4k. 2 times 2, that's 4. Minus 20k plus 4 is less than 0. Now let's join like terms. So 4k squared, 4k plus 4k minus 20k, that's negative 12k. Positive 4 plus 4, that's plus 8, is less than 0. This is a quadratic inequality. We need to have this be, we need to factor this. We can take 4 as a common factor. So it's like we're dividing everything by 4. So this is gonna be k squared minus 3k plus 2. If you wanna factor this one, take the 2, طبعا 2 is just 1 times 2. Negative, positive, it means both of them are negative. So this is actually 4 times k minus 1 times k minus 2 is less than 0. To find the values of k in here, k is equal to 1, the opposite sign, k is equal to 2. Type, where is the answer? We need to test. Okay, so here is 1, here is 2. The easiest value to test is 0. 0 will be to the left of the 1 here. So test 0. Where to test it? You can test it here. This is the easiest one. So that's 4 times k minus 1 times k minus 2. But instead of k, we're putting 0. Okay, so equal 4 is positive, 0 minus 1 is negative, 0 minus 1 is another negative, negative times negative, that will be positive, or positive times positive is positive. So this part is positive, so it's a normal quadratic inequality, so it's either yes, no, yes, or no, yes, no. اللي هي positive, negative, positive, or negative, positive, negative. طبعا this one doesn't have an equal, this is just less than, so these are open. Okay, he wants less than 0. Less than 0 يعني negative. فيبقى the answer is this part. So the answer K is between 1 and 2, so the answer is C. I'm gonna copy this because this question can repeat, but instead of no real solution, he can say here 2 real solutions. So if it's 2 real solutions, it means the discriminant is greater than 0. So in this case, it's the same problem, by the way, but I'm just asking for something different. So in this case, it will be greater than 0, يعني we want the positive. So it will be this part and this part. These will be the answers. اللي هي k is less than 1 or k is greater than 2. Or he can ask for exactly one real solution. So that means in b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0. Well, in this case, you just need the values of k. We took the values of k without testing خلاص because you just need the values of k. The values of k from this graph were 1 and 2. We found them here, the values of k. So the values of k would just be 1 and 2. So the answer k equal 1 or k equal 2. So the answer is 1 and 2.